Hello and welcome to 100 Yards of Football Sports Talk Radio. I am the producer, Jeremiah Long, and joining me as always on Mondays is our host, Logan Landers. How's it going, Logan?
Man, beautiful Monday, talking football. Just had a good breakfast either, Hey, got your day up right? How about yourself, man? I'm doing great.
Just the same. Trying to kick it off right. Really excited to have this history special. This is one that we have been waiting for a while. And so I am really excited for you to take us all the way through the depths of the man himself, Archie Manning, his history. Let's hear some more about everything to do with Archie Manning.
Man, we've been waiting on this one for a minute. Let's get into it. Let's talk about Archie Manning. So, as we know, he's the Ole Miss quarterback from 1968 through 1970. His air attack, phenomenal. 5,753 yards and 31 touchdowns through his career at Ole Miss. And on the ground, he is very solid as well. People tend to forget that. He was one of the first kind of dual threat quarterbacks, back in the day. He ran for 823 yards and 23 touchdowns on the ground. He was the first team SEC and All-American in 1969. He was also the 1969 SEC Player of the Year. Now, unfortunately, he wasn't able to get the Heisman, but he did finish fourth in 1969. He finished third in 1970. Having those two stellar seasons on the next slide, we will see where he got drafted to. He was drafted to the New Orleans Saints, as you see on the next slide here.
Hold on a second. I'm going to keep working on my slide deck.
Oh, all right.
Well, to go ahead and tell me again, what was the first team that he was a big player for?
Yeah, he was mostly known for playing with the New Orleans Saints. And he spent a lot of time there, man. He was solid, with the Saints. He was drafted in the 1971 draft. Very solid player, of course. Like I said, he had those great seasons at Ole Miss. Really built up his stock. Yeah, there we go. Second overall pick in 1971 by the New Orleans Saints. Man, for his career, he did 23,911 yards with 125 touchdowns in total. He was two-time Pro Bowler in 1978 and 79. And then, like I said, on the ground, he was very, I'd say kind of underrated. People tend to just think the Manning family, throw it everywhere. But no, man, Archie was, quick with his feet. He ran for 2,197 yards and 18 touchdowns. He was good enough to be in the Saints Ring of Honor and also be in the Saints Hall of Fame. A lot of people in New Orleans loved him whenever he played there. He played 13 total seasons in the NFL and 10 for New Orleans. He also played with the Oilers for a little while, as well as the Vikings. But yeah, man, he's mostly known for his time with the Saints. I'm sure, a lot of Falcons fans are, we hear Archie Manning, oh man, the Saints really? But no, man, Archie was a great player. Whenever I was doing my research about him, man, fun, I didn't know this about him. He was selected in the MLB draft 4 times as a shortstop. He was selected by the Braves, White Sox, and the Royals. So that just lets you know that, he was very talented, a heck of an athlete, man. And everyone knows he's the father of both Eli and Peyton. That's their dad. He's taught them everything that they knows. And I think we don't got to say much about Eli and Peyton. We know how their careers have turned out as, just great players, both of them respectively. And, Archie himself had number 18, retired at Ole Miss, and he was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 1989, man. Archie was just very something I learned about Archie also. So I told you, like I said, he played for 13 seasons, 10 for the Saints. He never had a winning record, not once. He finished 500 once, but he never had a winning record for his entire NFL career. But, man, he was able to make it last for 13 years. But I think that says a lot, to be, not have a winning season over that amount of time. You can't put the blame on him for any of that, man. He did I just, showed you all the stats that he put up, man. But, just to have that longevity, and he's one of the most respected, quarterbacks of, his generation. A lot of people just think of, Archie as, oh, he's the father, he's the dad of Eli and Peyton. But no, man, if you go back and you look at his track record, just all the great stats he's put up, especially, in the NFL as well as college also. He is just, a great player, I would say underlooked. A lot of people, like I said, a lot of people don't think of him as a player. But, man, if you go back and if you look at some of his stuff, very, very impressive.
Yeah, I was actually I learn something every time that we do these history specials. And so I really appreciate you doing all your research. So Archie Manning being who he is, and me coming from being in the Tennessee dynasty alum kind of era, especially with Peyton. I was around UT campus in Knoxville during the Peyton era, so I know what was going on there. And so we would hear about Archie all the time. But yeah, I had no idea that he had been drafted to the Major League Baseball before.
4 times.
So that means he must have been playing quite a bit of college baseball then, right?
Right. Yeah, he was. He was very solid baseball player. As a shortstop. So you got to be real versatile when you play that. You got to have some good hands. You got to have quick feet. Got to be able to hit a little bit too. So we know he's got a little bit of pop of the bat.
Yeah. So man, what an athlete. So that means he must have been a multidisciplinary during his college careers, which is another thing we're starting to find out is a lot of the greats, they had these, multiple sports that they played at a high level, and they had to kind of decide where their professional career would lead them. Wow, that's really interesting. Well, Logan, thank you so much. You have any final words on Archie Manning?
I'd say, man, Archie Manning, if you haven't already, go look up the stats, go see some game footage of him. You can see, what he's shown Peyton and Eli. If you go back, if you look at Archie, you'll see some of the same mechanics you'll see with both Peyton and Eli. I mean, heck, we saw the stats. We've seen, how good Archie was. You can see why his sons were just, very, real legend, great players.
He definitely knows how to breed them and how to get them going and how to keep that consistency going with all of them. And I think that drive at the heart of it too. You could see it in Peyton and Eli's eyes sometimes when they're really fighting to win. They've got this deep stare that they do like way down the field, and they're like envisioning what they want to do, and they really try to play with a full heart. So yeah, it's a great legacy and an amazing player, and another player that I think, like you said, that we somewhat overlook some of their play time on the field because of their legacy. But yeah, what a strong player through Ole Miss, through the Saints, through some other teams, and yeah, it's incredible. I think that's something that I'm going to do, and I tend to do this after every one of these history specials that we do. Jump onto YouTube, start looking up old games, start looking up highlight reels, start just learning as much as I can.
Yeah, it's it's a great learning experience for sure. Definitely. One of the games that when I was doing my research, he had a game against Alabama in 1969 that a lot of people tend to talk about. He had a really solid game. They ended up losing by, I think, 1 point, but man, he had a really good showing. I think he had around 3 or 4 touchdowns, threw for around 400 yards, give or take.
Wow.
Hey, don't quote me on this. I'm just going off some memory. Yeah, man, that's one of the games that I know my man Vince Turner, the encyclopedia, as we know him as, Mr. Football, he'll know all about. I'm sure he's going to call me after this. Man, I love that game. We need to talk about that more. But hey, great game by Archie for sure, man.
Absolutely. Well, for everybody watching at home, make sure in the comments tell us what your favorite Archie Manning moments are, and if you just want to talk about some of his kids' accomplishments as well, we're all game for talking about it. We were talking football here, So yeah, so let us know in the comments what your favorite Archie Manning moments are, and then keep on coming back because we have live videos every single week with our team, myself, producer Jeremiah Long, our host Logan Landers, and our other team with Vincent, Mr. Football Turner, Bobby Butler, world famous for playing with the Falcons and Florida State, and also our coaching expert, Kevin the Bull Jones. So we'll be coming to you more this week, and I hope you join with us. We'll see you later this week. Bye.